A lot has happened this week. Stellantis laid off workers in huge amounts, and GM's boss, who has been there for around a decade, just quit out of the blue. Both of these companies have been facing lots of issues, and even the government has been intervening to bail them out with taxpayer money. But it seems like they've been falling on us again and again, so I did the hard work and the research to find out exactly why and how these companies always get into trouble, and how it affects you and me. And folks, when you dig a little deeper, you'll find out that these headlines and news we keep hearing are just the tip of the iceberg. The industry is in trouble, and it will affect all of us. So let me break it down for you. What is happening? GM didn't say anything serious about how or why their bosses left, but the reality is that GM is facing such huge trouble. Why? Well, in short, the market is changing, and the Detroit giants are feeling the heat. Sure, the car world's always on the move, tastes change, tech evolves, and the competition never hits pause. But Stellantis, born from the 2014 merger of Fiat Chrysler and PSA Group, is hitting some serious roadblocks. This auto giant, home to the legends like Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and Peugeot, is grappling with a slump in vehicle demand. And trust me, this isn't just a little bump in the road, it's a major market shakeup. They just hit the brakes on the Ram 1500 Classic, and it's not just a small hiccup. We're talking about 2,500 factory workers getting the boot from their Detroit area plant. And GM has raised its annual financial forecast twice this year, but analysts are concerned about a potential deadline in earnings for the latter half. The company projects adjusted earnings to fall between $4.7 billion and $6.7 billion, compared to $8.3 billion in the first half. So what's the deal? Well, there's no easy answer, but I'll explain it all in simple terms. Let's start with Stellantis. You see, in the first quarter of 2024, this global automotive titan experienced a significant shakeup, with net revenues plummeting by 12% to 41.7 billion euros. This hefty drop is more than just a blip on the radar, it's a serious wake-up call. The company is now faced with the daunting task of making some tough calls to steer through these choppy waters. The big question is, how will they navigate this tricky situation and come out stronger? Well, here's where things get really interesting. Jeep and Ram, two of the most iconic names in the auto world, are shaking things up with some bold moves. They're expanding their lineups and rolling out new, high-end models like the $67,000 Grand Cherokee. This shift towards more expensive vehicles is not just a random change, it's a strategic pivot aimed at tapping into a more upscale market segment. As these brands broaden their horizons, they're making a play for more affluent customer bases. So why is this shift so significant? Introducing high-priced models is Jeep and Ram's way of diving headfirst into the luxury vehicle segment. By adding upscale features and luxurious amenities, they're not just expanding their product range, they're actively courting a new demographic. This new strategy is designed to attract buyers who crave a premium driving experience, boost their brand image, and potentially increase their market share. Now, Jeep and Ram's focus on higher-priced models could signal a broader trend in the automotive industry, where luxury and premium features are becoming more central to brand strategy. This move could be a smart play to differentiate themselves from competitors and meet the evolving demands of consumers who are willing to pay a premium for quality and exclusivity. But what's the real impact of this shift? By positioning themselves in the luxury segment, Jeep and Ram are not just enhancing their brand's prestige, they're also setting themselves up for potential growth. But that might not be enough to keep Stellantis in the game. The cost of living crisis is no joke, and it's hitting car buyers hard. And while the cost of everything is skyrocketing, Stellantis is ramping up on those high-margin models, leaving the average Joe in the dust. It's like they're pushing the luxury envelope, while the rest of us are scrambling for the essentials. So will Stellantis manage to navigate this challenging terrain and come out ahead? Well, it doesn't seem like it. But let's talk about it in detail. Failure upon failure. It is clear that they are changing course, and the staff cuts are impossible to ignore. In 2024 alone, Stellantis slashed jobs at several US factories, affecting everyone from factory floor workers to top-tier executives. It's a sweeping move that's raising eyebrows across the industry. But why? Is Stellantis trimming its workforce to counter the slide in traditional vehicle sales and funneling those savings into their electric vehicle dreams? It's a classic case of balancing the books, but here's the catch. Without a skilled, dedicated team, they can't churn out vehicles, and without vehicles, there are no sales. It's like trying to bake a cake without flour. It just doesn't work. This cycle of layoffs and declining sales is putting serious pressure on the company's financial health. So in a bid to stave off disaster, the federal government has swooped in with a $1.7 billion bailout to revive Stellantis and keep jobs afloat. But will this injection of cash be enough to reverse the downward spiral? Sales are tanking across the board, from the reliable Jeeps and Rams to the family-friendly Pacifica. It's a tough situation and the road ahead looks rocky. As Stellantis navigates this stormy period, one thing is crystal clear. Both Stellantis and the government need to align their strategies with what car buyers actually want. Consumers are hankering for quality, affordable internal combustion engines, not just high-priced hybrids and EVs. Look, no one can deny that electrification is a good concept, especially following trends in Europe, but North America presents a different challenge. With its vast distances and extreme weather, making the leap to all-electric vehicles might be trickier than anticipated. And Stellantis has set their sights high with a daring goal. By 2030, every passenger car they sell in Europe will be electric. And they're not stopping there. They're eyeing a substantial 50% target for the US market as well. This isn't just corporate fluff, it's backed by a hefty investment. Stellantis plans to roll out a staggering 75 electric vehicle models by the end of the decade. That's a serious commitment to going green. Will Stellantis' push toward hybrid and electric models resonate with buyers, or will it flop? The answer isn't straightforward. It's more complicated than a simple yes or no, so let's dissect. The implications. Transitioning to electrification isn't a walk in the park. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. One major concern is whether Stellantis is trying to juggle too many balls at once with its 14 different brands. Variety is fantastic, but each brand needs to carve out a unique electric identity. Every brand needs to keep its unique spark alive in the electric age. Then there's the whole charging infrastructure puzzle. Stellantis is putting money into building a solid network, but is it enough? Range anxiety, the fear of running out of battery before you can find a charging station, is a real issue for many potential EV buyers. If Stellantis can't offer a smooth, extensive charging experience, especially for those long road trips, they might miss out on a lot of customers. But that's not all. Performance is another piece of the puzzle. Sure, some Stellantis EVs, like the Peugeot E208, are getting high marks for their snappy acceleration, but other models might not hit the sweet spot for those who crave the thrill of a powerful engine. Stellantis needs to balance environmental benefits with the kind of performance that makes your heart race. Sure, they've got the resources, the ambition, and some exciting electric vehicles already in play, but to really win over drivers, they've got to nail down these challenges. It's not as straightforward as it seems, and one major factor might just be the game changer. But there is one more issue that we have to talk about that is causing huge trouble for them: GM, Ford, and Tesla too. Ever heard of a car company caught in a wild price war? Well, it's insane. Let's say you're in the Chinese electric vehicle market, where cutthroat tactics and razor-thin margins are as common as rush hour traffic. It's enough to make even the toughest executive break a sweat, right? That's exactly what Stellantis is up against. They're walking a tightrope, trying to stay competitive without falling into financial quicksand. Talk about a tough balancing act. Now, this is all about grabbing that sweet market share. Everyone from old-school car makers to fresh-faced startups is fighting for a piece of the pie. And boy, is that pie looking tasty in the SUV and EV markets. This fight has sparked a frenzy of deals and discounts and dirt-cheap prices. It's like Black Friday every day in the car world. Sure, these tactics might have customers lining up around the block, but at what cost? Stellantis is feeling the pinch big time. Their profits are shrinking faster than a car's value the minute you drive it off the lot. It's not just Stellantis though. Even BYD, the Chinese EV powerhouse, is feeling the heat. Why? Well, it's simple math. Lower prices plus higher production costs equal one big financial headache. And here's the kicker. This money crunch could put the brakes on Stellantis' ability to innovate and stay ahead of the curve. But this price war isn't just hitting Stellantis in the wallet, it could mess with the very cars they're producing. Imagine having to choose between keeping prices low and maintaining quality. It's like being stuck between a rock and a hard place. And Carlos Tavares, the guy steering the ship at one of the world's biggest car companies, is sounding the alarm about a potential bloodbath in the industry. It's like he's seen a horror movie about car prices and he's trying to warn everyone before it's too late. He's practically shouting from the rooftops about the importance of pricing discipline. Now that might sound boring, but think about it this way. If car companies start slashing prices left and right, it's not just Stellantis that will feel the pain. No, the whole automotive section could end up in the financial emergency room. It's like a game of automotive dominoes. One falls and they all come tumbling down. Now you might be thinking, but wait, aren't lower prices good for us buyers? Well, Tavares has some thoughts on that too. He's pointing fingers at certain competitors like Tesla, although he didn't mention them explicitly. They've been going wild with price cuts. It's like they're having an everything must go sale, but with cars instead of last season's fashion. That sounds great, right? Well, Tavares is warning us that this strategy is about as smart as using a chocolate teapot. Sure, it might look good at first, but it's going to be a real mess real quick. He's even got the receipts to back it up, pointing out Tesla's recent money troubles as Exhibit A. But it doesn't look like Stellantis has a plan. They are focused on what the current market looks like, but they don't know what to do. Sure, this is a hard market to navigate, but Stellantis is not the only one caught in this war. And the rest of them have a plan. Tesla is slashing their prices and also their costs, so their profit margins stay the same. They can do this because they've been doing it even before this war. But what about GM? Well, they're struggling like fish out of water. Their market share dropped. Tough competition and changing tastes are giving them a real headache, especially in the global market. In Europe, they only sold 2,000 cars in 2023. But GM didn't just sit and watch this happen. They've made a new plan. And this one move might be a game changer that all the legacy manufacturers like Stellantis needed. Let me explain. The new GM way. GM is on a wild ride through the world of electric vehicles. They're not just dipping their toes into the EV pool, they're doing a full-on cannonball. We're talking about some seriously cool new rides hitting the streets soon. Ever dreamed of an all-electric Chevy Silverado? It's coming, folks. And don't even get me started on the GMC Hummer EV. It looks like they took the Hulk and turned him into a car. But here's where things get interesting. GM's not putting all their eggs in one electric basket. No, they're playing it smart, like a chess grandmaster thinking 5 moves ahead. They've decided to bring back an old friend, the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. It's like they're throwing a reunion party for all the car types. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, I thought GM was all about going full electric. Well, my friend, that's where the plot thickens. In early 2024, GM dropped a bombshell that had the automotive world buzzing. They announced a major shift in their EV strategy. It's like they were playing Monopoly and decided to buy the whole corner instead of one side of the map. GM's big boss, Mary Barra, spilled the beans. They're not abandoning their EV dreams, but they're bringing hybrids back into the spotlight. It's like they're creating a superhero team with both EVs and hybrids. Why the change of heart, you ask? Well, it turns out selling EVs isn't easy. Sales have been slower than expected, and people are still wringing their hands over things like range anxiety, charging stations, and the fact that some of these EVs cost more than a small house. Just look at their EV lineup and tell me if the introduction of hybrids is a bad move. First up, we've got the Chevy Equinox EV. This bad boy is set to revolutionize the game with its wallet-friendly price tag. You want to know what this affordable price is? $34,995. That is not affordable, especially compared to the gas guzzlers, right? But if you're all about that truck life, the Chevy Silverado EV is going to make you weak in the knees. Picture this, a beastly electric truck that can keep going for up to 440 miles, but it will cost just shy of $100,000. And let's not forget the GMC Hummer EV. This isn't your grandpa's Hummer. It's a high-performance electric monster that's turning heads left and right. It's like the superhero of EVs with a price tag of $106,000. If you feel fancy, the Cadillac Lyriq is GM's answer to luxury electric SUVs, so go for that one. If you have around $60,000 in your budget, that is for the base model. And you might think that the ongoing price war would force GM to cut prices, but no, that's not happening. GM's leadership has made it clear they do not intend to participate in the price war that has intensified among competitors like Ford and Tesla. Instead of slashing prices, GM aims to preserve per-vehicle profitability, even if it means sacrificing some short-term market share. This decision is rooted in lessons learned from past experiences, particularly the significant price cuts made in 2005, which led to unsustainable demand and long-term financial repercussions. GM is shifting the focus from price competition to enhancing the customer value proposition. By improving the features and quality of its vehicles, GM seeks to differentiate its offerings in a crowded market. This includes adding technology and safety features that appeal to consumers, thereby justifying the price points of their vehicle without resorting to deep discounts. Don't get me wrong, incentives work, but GM knows that. But while GM acknowledges that incentives will still play a role in its marketing strategy, the company plans to use them more strategically. Instead of blanket discounts across all models, GM intends to target incentives for specific vehicles, aligning with them more closely with transaction prices. This approach aims to reduce reliance on incentives while still providing competitive pricing where necessary. And historically, GM has successfully utilized product diversification as a strategy to compete without engaging in destructive price wars. By offering a wide range of models at various price points, GM can cater to different market segments and consumer preferences. This strategy allows GM to capture a larger share of the market while avoiding the pitfalls of price competition. So GM's decision makes perfect sense. The PHEVs, they're like the bridge between the gas-guzzling past and the all-electric future. Think of them as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, swinging between two drivetrains. Plug-in hybrid electric vehicles offer the best of both worlds by combining an internal combustion engine with an electric motor, providing extended range and flexibility. They can travel longer distances than most EVs, refuel quickly at gas stations, and benefit from widespread fueling infrastructure. PHEVs are ideal for short commutes on electric power, reducing fuel costs and emissions while also eliminating range anxiety on longer trips. This makes them a practical choice for drivers who want the environmental benefits of electric driving without the limitations of battery-only vehicles. If you ask me, GM did the right thing. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.